The Secret Homicides, The Next Life by Chrissy Wiley. Chapter 1. Taking my first step outside after coming back to life was a tremendous test of control. The world wasn't the same. It was louder, brighter, and the air itself felt heavy with secrets I could suddenly instinctively understand. All of my senses were awakening at once. The wind, once just a gentle breeze, now brushed against my skin, leaving a tingling sensation that didn't just spread across my body, but burrowed deep, sparking every nerve ending. It was as if my entire physical form was tuning into a new frequency. A pulse hammered in my veins, and with it, I could feel every inch of my flesh ignite with an awareness so sharp it was painful. My body wasn't just a vessel anymore. It was a humming, vibrating instrument. I had been changed, transformed, and this was the result. It was as though I had stepped into a whole new world. The leaves on the trees, the rough bark, the faint hum of power lines in the distance, all of it felt impossibly present. I could hear the subtle rustle of a mouse in the tall grass 50 yards away, and the frantic beat of its tiny heart. The scent of pine and damp earth was a rich tapestry, but woven through it was something else, a smell that seized my attention with a terrifying primal grip. Immediately, I smelled the blood left behind by the wildlife officer who had been injured by the wolf. The scent hit me like fire in my veins. It wasn't just the smell of iron, it was a hot, thick, living aroma that awakened a hunger so profound it stole the air from my lungs. My throat ached and a deep, empty pit formed in my stomach. The impulse was to lunge, to find the source and consume it. But a fragile thread of my old self held me back, trembling. Mike, sensing the shift in me, grabbed my hand, consuming my attention in an instant. The moment his skin touched mine, it was as if a jolt of electricity shot through me. But it was more than that. I could read his thoughts, his urgency bleeding into me. His mind was a frantic storm of worry and a desperate need to act. He was terrified for me and for what I might do. He saw the fire in my eyes, the hunger in my posture, and knew exactly what it meant. "Anne, you have to trust me, okay?" His voice was low, firm, but pleading. It was a lifeline in the chaos of my senses. "We have to find you someone to feed on soon." The words were a brutal, cold splash of reality. He wasn't suggesting it, he was commanding it. This wasn't a choice, it was a desperate necessity. My new instinct screamed for me to obey, but my human self, the part of me that had been Anne for 23 years, recoiled. I shook my head, biting my lip so hard I tasted blood. It was a faint metallic whisper compared to the scent of the officer's blood, but it was enough to steady me for a moment. "I don't want to hurt anyone." "Not yet, Anne, I can explain later. We don't have time for this." His voice sharpened, the plea replaced by a fierce, undeniable urgency as he pulled me toward the truck with supernatural swiftness. We moved so fast that the trees blurred into a single green and brown streak. I wasn't running, I was gliding, my feet barely touching the ground. He shoved me into the passenger seat, not unkindly, but with a force that made it clear my protest was irrelevant. The door slammed shut and he was in the driver's seat in an instant, the engine roaring to life. We drove to his house, storming through the front door. The scent of my own kind hit me before I saw them. A dizzying mix of familiar smells, rich and comforting, yet so impossibly potent. His maker was already there, his sharp eyes widening with shock as I entered, breathing fast, afraid, changing. He was a force of nature in his own right, and the air around him crackled with a quiet power that was both compelling and terrifying. "What is the meaning of this, Michael?" His voice was deep and commanding, heavy with authority. He didn't just speak, he commanded the space around him. His presence filled the room, pressing against my chest like a weight, a physical force that demanded respect and obedience. "This isn't his fault." The words burst from me, not as a defense of Mike, but as a desperate plea to an authority I barely understood. My knees hit the floor before him. The act wasn't intentional, but my body's new instincts drove me to show submission. It felt right. A way to show him I wasn't a threat, that I was a lost child in need of a guide. "Please, help me finish the change. I don't want to die, I'm not ready." The words were raw, laced with the terror that had been simmering just beneath the surface since I woke up. I didn't know what finishing the change meant, but I knew that what was happening to me was incomplete, and the craving for blood was a symptom of that brokenness. "Anne, stand up." The maker sighed, his tone more resigned than angry.